It's breeding season. I mean, kind of like pre-breeding season, but I can't even believe we're there yet and we're thinking about 2026 foals, but that's where we're at. So in today's video, we're gonna be doing a multitude of things. We are going to be checking a bunch of my recip mares to see where they're at in their cycles, if they're in heat, if they're cycling, to kind of line them up with other mares to carry for them. We're also going to be checking 2 of my mares who will be being bred, so Beyonce and Indy. We are going to ultrasound Gracie while the vet's here, just to be safe because of her history, and check on Annie and do her foal alert since she's the next mare up. So lots of stuff, let's get to it. So she's at 324 today. She had her last one kind of late, but she just looks a little ahead of schedule from last time.
Who's the, what's her breeding status? Is she bred to?
Cool Ladies Man. It's a younger stud. And I bred her to him because he's like an oversized Western horse,
okay.
But like he shows the hunter saddle too. And so just like a really versatile horse. Like I think she is a really good like all around producer. Like I don't really think she's like the producer to do like a futurity baby. I think she's a very versatile mare. And so she's going to be bred to my young stud this year though, just for her own baby. So we'll probably, now with frozen semen, do you not breed on foal heats?
No. The uterus is still really big on the frozen semen heat. Mm-hmm. So you can't, it's hard to manipulate the uterus to get that pipette down to the tip of the horn.
Gotcha.
So your pregnancy rates are less because of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, so she'll be bred to him, and so we'll have to wait till after her foal heat. Also, I should, while she's sedated, check her pH. Because it was still really high yesterday. It was like 7.5 yesterday. I would say 7.25 or 7.25. So maybe like a 0.25 lower than yesterday. So basically, I'm paranoid. If you didn't know, last year Gracie had her foal at 286 days gestation. She's at 296 today. So it's like, in my head, realistically, I know it's probably fine. I know last year was probably a fluke. There was no medical reason why we could pinpoint why she did that. You know, what happened. Sometimes it just happens. But, you know, when it does do that and like life-threatening things happen, you just get a little bit nervous. And so since Dr. Matthew's already out here, we are going to ultrasound her, just take a look at her uterus and see if there's anything we can see that might be abnormal. Her udder looks fine for where she's at in her pregnancy. And we're also going to just take some blood. Just why not? You know, let's check our basics. She's so fat.
Especially if you watch her from behind.
From this angle, it's ridiculous.
There's a lot of baby in there.
It's a full sibling to the last baby we just had.
Throbbing when the heart beats. So I'm just following it.
So that's the heart right there?
No, the heart's over here.
Okay.
This is the chest. You can kind of pick up the bottom side of the heart. And then this is the aorta coming down. So I'm just kind of bouncing closer to where the heart is so I can get a better image. And we can take a heart rate here. Mm-hmm. In just a second. There's the heart.
Okay, there's the heart. That's crazy. Hold on. Look at that little beat. Little baby.
So the baby, so the chest, so the abdomen is here at the lowest part of her belly by her liver, and then her chest is lying back towards her udder.
So it's facing the right direction?
Facing the right direction. Let's see.
So they're measuring its heart rate at the moment. That's crazy. I haven't seen you do that before.
96?
Yep, 96 beats a minute.
Yeah, so that's where we're at.
Is that normal?
Yeah, that's normal for this stage. So the next thing I can do is measure the combined thickness of the uterus and placenta rectally, if you want me to go in rectally. If not, we can just base it on.
What is your thought on that? You think just cover our bases and do it?
I would. I mean, she has a history of having a problem.
Okay,
so.
let's do it.
And she's easy peasy, so I'd just check her and see. So I moved the baby out of the way, and then this is the amniotic fluid here, all that black fluid, and then if I can find, I had a good image of it for just a second. The baby's back in the way again. The cervix is right here. Here's the uterus, the amnion, and then this is the uterus and the placenta together. So I can take a measurement. I can measure that.
So he's measuring the uterus and the placenta together.
So it's 10 millimeters.
Is that normal?
Yeah, anything under like 12 or 13 millimeters is normal. What happens when you have a problem, you know, one of the most common things you have happen is an ascending infection. So the rectum is here, you know, we're outside, the rectum, vagina. You come in, cervix is about right here. You have an ascending infection that kind of starts to separate the placenta from the uterus, and you'll see that and it'll get thick. And this fluid looks really nice and black and healthy. This placenta looks really
good,
small and normal size.
Good. Well, I hope the baby's not too big. That would scare me.
There's a lot of baby in here.
So everything's really checking out good for her. Everything checked out in a normal range. And so we're just going to continue to keep a close eye. We're going to continue to watch her udder development. She's at like 296 today, I believe. Her safe date is March 1st. So, you know, we're less than a month away from that. And I think I'll finally be able to chill once she hits that safe date, or even 315. But we'll continue to say a little prayer for Gracie. And then hopefully that baby's not too big. That's what he looks like.
You making fun of the way I'm walking?
No, him.
Making fun of the way Matt's.
Now we're on to checking. So Indy plus the freeloaders. We are checking Indy to see if she's in heat. If she is in heat, we're going to do a preemptive, like little clean out uterine flush. We're also going to take a culture and make sure she doesn't have any infections and stuff before we go to start breeding her. I don't really want to breed her before the end of the month, but we preemptively need to do all these checks before then, instead of getting to that point and then being like, oh, we need to go through this cycle and clean her out, and then it's into March, you know. So we're just doing our homework, checking her first, and then we're going to move on to the recips and see where they're at in their cycles.
So if she's not in heat, do you still want to flush her? Or are you going to wait till she's in heat?
We can wait till she's in heat if you think that's better.
And if her cervix,
because then we can culture her and stuff.
Yeah, if her cervix is slammed shut, then I will wait, because you're just going to kind of,
okay.
You might throw her into a heat cycle that she's not ready for, or cause a little infection if her cervix is shut by leaving a little bit of fluid.
Right.
So we have that's her uterus there, and you can see the wagon wheel appearance.
Mm-hmm. The tomato.
Sliced tomato. She has a little bit of free fluid.
Okay. And she does have just like a giant uterus too, so I was worried about that.
All right, freeze that and let's measure that follicle. That's on her left.
All right, we're measuring a follicle on her left. I'll go ahead and write this down so that we can kind of keep track of, you know, where she ovulates and how big of a follicle she ovulates on.
That is 33.
A 3.3, got it.
And then all right, Warren, you're up. If you'll scrub her for me. So she had a Caslix put in, so she's pretty closed down, so hopefully she didn't get dirty.
Right.
Do a wash. I'll trade you. And then we'll take the swab back to the lab and see if it grows anything.
So we're checking multiple mares today. I have an embryo that I purchased that's in Texas, and so they're flushing the mare coming up, and they're going to check that mare just like we're doing today tomorrow. So hopefully I don't have to use a recip out in Texas and then have it shipped here. I'd like to be able to ship the embryo here and put into one of my recip mares, but you have to have their cycles timed up, and so you have to have them ovulate in a timely manner. You want the recip mare to ovulate a day after or is it a day after or a day before?
If you're doing fresh embryos, you want the recip to ovulate a day after the donor.
Okay, I was correct. Day after the donor mare. So that's why we have to be in really good communication with this vet clinic, with the owner of this mare, making sure, hopefully I have a mare that works. If I don't, I'll have to get a recip out in Texas. So she's not in heat.
225s on the right.
Two 225s on the right, so like kind of smaller follicles, but you know, we'll watch her as she builds them. And if she doesn't work out for this mare, then I'll probably put a frozen embryo of Trudy's into Raven early on. Willow, none of these mares except for Maggie had a baby last year. And then Maggie, we gave her a year off because she lost quite a bit of weight. And so we've been really working hard on like getting her weight up preemptively before she's bred this year. So all these mares, are open. We have not foaled them out. So that's going to be kind of interesting this coming year. Some of them have had babies, some of them haven't. Willow has not had a baby. One, 16.2.
So her cervix is tight. She doesn't feel like she's in heat either, but
Okay.
we're gonna find out in just a second.
Now, they're all under lights. Obviously, like, they don't really need to be necessarily in heat until the end of the month, but should we bring them in to culture them, or what's your thought? Or do we just wait?
I would catch them when they are in heat to culture them.
Yeah.
And if we need to give them a shot of Lutalize, we can do that, but
You'd
I'd
rather
rather
let
not
them come in.
start manipulating their cycles if we don't have to until we need
Yeah.
to start manipulating.
Okay, so she actually does have a 3.5 on her right, correct? On her right. So we're gonna put that down. Again, this is potentially for a mare that we do not have here. So she's in Texas. They're checking her tomorrow. So hopefully I have a couple of mares to choose from that are in heat, so that like if she does need one to be synced, we have a couple of options, because things happen. Sometimes, you think you have one synced up and then at the very end they just like stall out or they don't ovulate or whatever. So that's what we're hoping happens. Willow, since she is in heat, we're going to go ahead and culture her and make sure she doesn't have an infection. She had a little bit of free fluid, but since we don't have a whole lot of history with her, we're just going to go ahead and culture versus culturing and flushing. We might flush her the next time we're out here. So Maggie, we have foaled out before. I bought her last year pregnant with Molly, and she's just a recip, but she was so amazing, such a good mom, so easy to foal out that we decided to keep her. And so she stayed open this past year. Again, we were working on her weight, and now we are probably going to use her for probably Beyonce. She's a smaller mare, so she has to carry for smaller mares. And Beyonce, we are doing one flush with this year. And since Beyonce's open, we could probably do that kind of early. Yeah, so Willow and Charlotte were a little bit on the spicier side, but we got through it, and hopefully, with a lot of handling and going through their first breeding season here, they will become a little more accustomed to checks. We're going to be hopefully doing a lot more with Charlotte just to get her a little bit more used to us, especially if she's going to be carrying our babies, and she's come so far in the 6 months that we've had her from the kill pen that she came from. But both of them had follicles. Charlotte had a 2.8, which she wasn't in flaming heat or anything. Willow was in heat. So we have a wide variety of mares, either being kind of like at the beginning of their cycles, towards the end of their cycles, things like that, to then go into the breeding season knowing where they're at in their cycles. And that's kind of what today was. It was kind of like a fact-finding mission, seeing who needs a flush, who needs to be cultured, who's cycling, who's not, all that good stuff. And that's what we did. And we have a really good understanding now. Okay, well, we didn't plan on this being in the video, but my dad was just like, hey, we have 9 recip cows that came back into heat. They didn't take with the embryos we put in them. So to have spring calves and some recip cows carrying spring calves for our sale this year, let's go ahead and put some embryos in them and see if it takes. So what we're doing today is putting in CIDRs. C-I-D-R, cedar. So what we do is we put this in. It basically tricks the cow into thinking they're pregnant. It has hormones in it like progesterone, okay? So it tricks them into thinking they're pregnant. And then when you take them out, they all, hopefully, come back into heat. And when they come back into heat, we can time it correctly and put those conventional and frozen embryos in. We have a mixture of those. It's about a 30% success rate with embryos in cows. We really hope for better than that, but given that, hopefully 3 or 4 of these end up pregnant. So let's go do that. Okay, so we're gonna end off this video with a little update on Annie. So Annie's our next mare due. She's at 324 days pregnant today. Now, I've said it before. She had her last one at day 345. You can't always go off of a mare's first foaling. Now, when it comes to like Ethel, who had 4 babies prior to this one in the 320s, I felt like I could count on her, being kind of on the trend. Annie, who's being dramatic right now, You know, I think because it's also been like years in between the two foalings, I think we have to just go about it like we don't know anything, right? Her belly's low. We did move her into the big foaling stall. Already, you videoed earlier me, you know, milking her, looking at her pH, and it's not quite down low enough where I think she's going to foal imminently, but it is lowering by the day. And her hip, honestly, she's kind of crabby. So we've done updates on her before. I just kind of want to put it in your mind that she's next. So she's been really loose. She's been holding her tail out. She did get her foal alert in today, and her udder is developing. You can take a little shot of her udder if you didn't get it earlier, but those teats are starting to fill out because, you know, up until a few days ago, she had a bag, but then the teats, it's like no milk was down in them, and it's starting to fill out. So definitely getting closer. I have a feeling that next week when we're trying to be at the National Wild Turkey Convention, she's going to just ruin that. I really think so. But you know what? So be it. If it's a healthy mom and baby, I don't care. So let me know if you have any questions. Going into breeding season, today was just a taste of what is to come with, you know, trying for 10 to 12 pregnancies this coming year, and the embryo transfers and ICSI, and using frozen semen and using frozen embryos, and, you know, embryo transfers from mares that are in Texas to here. Like, there's so much coming. And I just want to make sure that I'm answering y'all's questions, and that I have questions to ask Dr. Matthew when he's here. So go ahead and drop those below in the comments, and just stay tuned because a lot is ahead of us. Literally, we are only halfway through foaling season, so number 5 is on its way. And I'm just very grateful for what has already happened this year, and I think it's going to be fun. So stay tuned. Again, we are doing lots of behind-the-scenes stuff on Snapchat, so that will be in the link below if you want to go follow me there. And we have lots of fun merch. We have Valentine's Day merch. We have foal merch, all that good stuff in the KVS merch store, which is at www.katievanslyke.net. And I think that's about it. I think that's my spiel. So I'll see you in the next one.